This morning is dealing with a rebellious people, a people that have gone away from God and have not kept their first love. They've gone away from their first love and they cling to everything except God, and they've made many idols as they have cities. And we don't worship God like we used to. We worship Him when He does something for us, or when He gives us something. And then when He gives us something, maybe a few days pass and we forget. And we go back to our same old carnal-minded ways. We rejoice and have a little joy for a while. But when the presence of what God blesses with is faded, then we'll go back to our same old harlot ways. Playing the harlot in the streets and living according to this world, which is not of God.
Yes.
This world is evil.
Yes.
This world is corrupt.
Yes.
And I don't feel that it's going to stand too much longer the way it is. It's impossible for a world to continue on in wickedness as it is to continue in the greatness that America is in. America truly great, not in terms of righteousness, but in terms of economics, in terms of material, they're great. And maybe knowledge to a certain level, but for its righteousness, America is not great when it comes to righteousness. Because she is the evil beast sitting up on many waters, making havoc all over this planet. And God is going to bring her into judgment very soon, in the very near future. And if you're all hooked up in the world, then you're going to receive the same judgment as America. The Bible said, come out from among them and be ye separate, said the Lord. He said, touch not the unclean thing, and then I will receive you unto myself. Things of the world are unclean, even down to the food that we eat. It is unclean because it's been prepared by beasts that did not care about your health. Are you listening to me today? Here we are people, we have our mouths in our enemy's kitchen, and our enemy is feeding us death every day. And we are not wise enough as we used to be to discern that death is all around. And we got to pick the proper foods to put in our bodies, that our bodies will grow properly and our minds will grow properly. How can you put good food in your mind and bad food in your body? Are you listening to me? You got to put good food in your mind as well as good food in your body. Even though if you put good food in your body and bad food in your mind, you haven't accomplished nothing. They've got to be both balanced out. You got to have good, wholesome food for your mind and good, wholesome food for your body. I was listening to the news the other day. They're genetically making cows now, so there'll be less fat. And they are pumping human hormones into cows. I said human hormones into cows. That's beef that we eat every day. And they will grow faster and they will be lean, less fat meat. Genetically now. Like the test tube babies. This is against nature. This is against the laws of nature that God has created. And yet you devour this, and Lord knows how long they've been doing this until they announced it. They've probably been doing it all along, but ain't told the public. But we need to be aware of what we're eating. This is why a lot of us act in a bestiality way.
That's it.
Because somebody say you are what you eat.
That's right.
Huh? You look at a cow. A cow loves to graze. You look at some humans, act just like cows. Are you listening to me? We need to understand that something has been done, and now they're trying to, cover it up, but it's coming out. The more they cover it up, the more it's going to come out. There's something evil, diabolical, but been done to us, and we need to begin to deal with it, because if we don't deal with it now, it's going to be too late. We're going to catch it a little too late, and it's going to be destroyed us before we caught it. But our food consumption today is more, and we're enjoying it less. If you're an average person that eat 5 or 6 hamburgers a week, a host of French fries, fried chicken, mashed potatoes, all types of soda pop, chips, and all this junk food, you're headed out of here. And it's just a matter of time that your system's going to back up. Are you listening to me? Now, I'm not going to teach on food this morning, but this is a part of the message God has given me today, because we need to understand, as I said a while ago, our mouths are in his kitchen, and we need to understand this and get our mouth out of their kitchen, because they're feeding us death. But you keep eating all this greasy junk food, Mickey D's and McDonald's, all these chain food conglomerates that's supposed to be feeding America. They're not feeding us, they're killing us. And I don't let my children eat from these fast food restaurants. Because I want my children to live, and I want to live too. And if you want to live, you got to become conscious of what you eat. Not only natural food, but spiritual and mental food. And when you become aware of what you're putting in your mouth and into your head, you're going to be conscious where you spend your money. Are you listening? You're going to be conscious of everything that you do. You're going to be aware of everything that go in your mouth. Are you listening to me? You wonder why people are dying at younger age now. You wonder why people don't have good health today. Young people got arthritis. Young people have all types of strokes and sickness and diseases that old people usually contract when they get older. But now the young people are dying with diseases that they can't even put a name on. This is due to the food that you consume. Not only physically food, but mental food. Because if you're dying physically, you're dying spiritually too. Because your body, your soul, or your spirit, and your mind is hooked together. Are you listening to me? And they all function properly together. And they got to be nourished all together. Are you listening to me? You can't feed one and let the other go without. You got to feed that body right food. You got to feed that mind right food. You got to feed that spiritual man right food. Are you listening to me? Now, I was reading this morning in a certain book concerning the laws of nature that God has created and put on this planet. Now, they said there's a law that no two things can occupy the same space at the same time. Now, that's controlled in the earth atmosphere, but not to the human being, because housed in us is a soul, are you listening to me? A spirit and body, and they're all together in one place. Are you listening to me? So this law does not apply to the human body, because we consist of more than just a body. Is this too deep for somebody else? Now, the laws that two things cannot occupy the same space at the same time, it applies to the earth. It does not apply to the human body, because we are divine. Did you hear what I said? I said we are divine. Do you believe God's divine?
Yes.
Now, how can God be divine and create something that's not divine?
Yes. Yes.
Divine has got to impute some of his divinity into that which is made. Are you listening to me? So we are divine in a sense because we are made from God. We're an offspring of God, and we're going to be a joint heir with Jesus Christ. And we are part of God. So we ought to start acting like gods now. Huh? Stop living from your waist down. And let's live from your neck up. And if you do live from your waist down, you need a checkup from the neck up. Because you are sick and you need a doctor. And I can be a good doctor for you this morning. I can diagnose your case and give you something to eradicate the problems in your life. Because black people have many problems that we ain't dealt with yet. We swept them under the rug. We put them in the closet. And every time we open the closet, there it is. Every time we look on the rug, there it is. We ain't eliminated the problem. We just covered it up, put a Band-Aid on it. But now it's time for black people to deal with problems that we have. And I'm going to do some dealing this morning. And I want y'all to deal with me too. Deal with reality. Because I'm going to bring some truth out this morning that you need to know. Now, as I read the scripture this morning in Jeremiah, it sounds like a certain people, doesn't it? Now, can you think of who these people could be that he's talking about in Jeremiah? Well, they're closely related to black people. Because black people are the ones that have gone away from their God. And they're serving a God that they don't know. Hello? In the 9th verse, what caught my eye when I was reading this, it said, "Wherefore will I plead with you, said the Lord, and with your children's children I plead." Well, I plead. "For I pass over the isles of Shittim, and see and sin unto Kedar, and consider diligently, and see if there be such a thing. Had a nation changed their gods?" Huh? Had a nation changed their gods, which are yet no gods? But my people have changed their glory for that which do not profit. We got material on top of material. We love the Gucci's. We love to shop at Bloomingdale's, and by the way, they're getting ready to close down. We love to shop at Neiman Marcus. We love to shop in the most expensive stores that we can find. Culver's. Hello. And we love to buy the most expensive things so we can, show that we have arrived. What have you arrived to? You have not arrived. Only way you arrive is when you arrive with God in righteousness. Hello. But you think because of the material that you have and the prestige of a new automobile, or live in a beautiful neighborhood where you have neighbors that keep their lawns up, you think you have arrived. And a lot of us black people, we don't think we're successful unless we have these material things. But we have become degenerate human beings because we think that gain is godliness. We think that gain, materialism, is godliness. But it is not. You don't measure man by the possessions that he has. You measure man how he serves God, how he puts God first, how he reacts in situations pertaining righteousness. Are you listening to me? This is how you measure man. Not by the car he drives, not by the clothes that he wears, not by the bankroll that he carries, but you measure man by the righteousness acts that he does. And I don't want you to measure me by the automobile or the clothes I wear. I want you to measure me by the righteousness and how I live what I preach. Because a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people preach about it. And some sing about it. But that don't mean they're living what they're singing, preaching, and talking about. It means a difference when you begin to live what you preach. Hello? I said before, the proving ground or the battleground is home. And if you can live righteous at home, behind closed doors, where Brother Davis can't see you, or the other saints can't see you, then you got what you say you got. Because that's your proving ground. Your worst enemies are those of your own household. And this is where the battleground starts, at home. And we need to understand that if we can get victory at home, we can get victory anywhere. So don't come to church putting on a false face trying to fool me. Just be yourself. If you're evil, just be evil. If you're righteous, you can't be nothing other than righteous. Hello? You can't put on righteousness. You can try, but you'll forget. Huh? So you got to live this thing. You can't put on something that you don't have. Hello? It's an illusion. And when you live in an illusion world, you deceive your own self, and you are the worst person that you can deceive when you deceive yourself. Now, history should be treasured. How many believe that?
Come on, yes. I hear you.
I believe history should be treasured because it holds the keys to the past, and it holds the keys for the hope of our future. And since I've been teaching history, a lot of things have come out that a lot of people don't understand, and some just don't want to understand, and others just think I've gone crazy. And why is it that I have gone crazy now since I've come to knowledge? Is it that you've been in a certain mentality so long, and you used to the norms of today, that when I rise up a little higher than you, you look up at me and say, I'm crazy because I got a little bit more knowledge than you? See, they changed the norm. See, up is down, and down is up. Right is wrong, and wrong is right. This is the mentality of people today. So when I show a little bit more scholar than you, or have a little bit more knowledge than you, you think something's wrong with me. And when I begin to talk about history and about Jesus, that he's black, I really got beside myself now. Now, what do you base that on, Brother Davis? That Jesus is black.
Yes.
God don't see color. I beg your pardon. If God don't see color, why did he make so many beautiful colors? Huh? Now, we know God can't be trapped in the flesh or humanity, but every time he wants to show himself, he always has shown himself through a black man or black woman. Whether it be God or goddess or any deity, it's been that of a black man and a black woman. And even our scripture tells us, Ezekiel tells us, Jeremiah tells us, Daniel tells us about the description of how Jesus looked. Said his head and his hair were white like wool. Hello. Eyes a flame of fire. Feet like they were burned in the oven. Amber color. Are you listening to me? So we have the description now. And not only we have the Bible, but we have science now that can go into the genetic makeup and find out who that person geographically belonged to, and what heritage they come out of, what bloodline they came from. Oh, you listen to me. We have the scientific evidence now. We have astrology. We have geometry. We have all these things here today to give us concrete information. And there's no denying the truth today. Because history is a treasure that we need to understand, and we need to cling to it. Because as I said earlier this morning, only way you can proceed to the future, you got to understand the past. Huh? See, white folk, all they're related to is the past and the future. But black people, we relate to past, present, and future. And when you relegate yourself down to a creature that you only understands past and future, then that means what's in the present doesn't count. It doesn't mean that much to you. How many relate to me this morning? So life don't mean too much to you in the present. All you're thinking about is what happened in the past and what's going to happen in the future. But you forget about the present. And we are a present being because we don't make long-term commitments. Isn't that right? And not saying that we're not interested or concerned about the future, but black people, we don't make long-term, arrangements. Isn't that right? We go mostly from week to week or from month to month. And most of us go from day to day. Hello. But white people, they plan for 30, 40, 50 years ahead. Huh? So that tells you somebody is concerned not only with the past and the future, but with the present. Because who are the ones suffering in the present? We are. So we're concerned about what's going on right now. And we want to change this situation. Now, without a clear understanding of history, which all black people need to get a clear understanding. When you look at a mirror and it's not clear, then you can't see the true image. Right? Or you look through your window and it's all distorted with debris and dirt and stuff. You say, hey, well, I can't see out there. I can't see clearly out there. But when you clean that mirror or that window off, then you can see clearly. And you can distinguish everything as it is. So a lot of us, we are looking through a glass or looking at a mirror that is distorted, that is not completely clear. And we as black people, we need to get a clear understanding of history. Huh? Let me tell you this. Jewish people, the ones that are sitting over in Israel now, are imposters. Because the original Jews were black. Abraham was the first Jew. He came on the scene in 1675 BC. And when Abraham first came on the scene, which he was a black man, Africans were in the 13th dynastic period along the Nile River. The pyramids were here, the Sphinx was here, all this high civilizations were here when Abraham came. Hello? Abraham was the father of the Jews. But the original Jews were black. You have Philosopher Jews that are black, and they still cling to the customs of Abraham. The traditions that Abraham started, they still practice those traditions today, here in 1990. And these are black Jews that they don't show you. But the original Jews have always been black. But those that are sitting in Israel now, they are imposters. And these are the ones that Hitler tried to annihilate because they didn't look completely white. They had big noses, and their skin was something like a milky brown or bone color. And they were really not classified as white because their eyes were brown. They were not really blue. And Hitler wanted to make a certain race of people, a superior people, so they didn't meet the criteria. So Hitler said, we're going to annihilate the Jews. Yeah. Are you listening? So they put them in ovens, they put them in gas chambers, and they annihilated over 6 million Jews. Yeah. How many ever seen it on TV? The Holocaust. How they got those dead bodies and they had mass burials, open up the earth, a big old hole, and got a bulldozer and just bulldozer all those dead bodies off in the hole and cover them up. Hello? This happened. And after the Holocaust happened, the Jewish people go everywhere and they testify and they proclaim that we will never suffer this type of Holocaust, inhumane thing again. And they tell the world, never again. Never again. And not only that, to soothe the conscience of America, they give Israel $5 billion a year. And they stole some of the Palestinians' land and gave to these white folks to soothe their conscience because they were involved with the Holocaust. Because when the Jewish people asked for help from the United States, they turned their head when they were burning in the ovens. They refused to give aid to those Jews that were burning and in the gas chambers, and they turned their heads. And then after the Holocaust, America said, we must do something. And now today, we give tax dollars so people can sit over there and say, I'm the chosen. They sit high and look down on us. And they say, what has happened to the Negro? Why are they in such a condition? Why is it that the Koreans and the Chinese and Japanese and all other races of people can come to America and make it overnight, And these Negroes been here 433 years, and they ain't been able to do nothing. Why? What's wrong with them? Well, if someone come to your land and displace over 900 million of your people and put them in slavery and strip their religion, strip their tongue, strip their culture, strip all their ideologies from them and make them slaves, what kind of people you think you be? And when I begin to talk about history, our black history, our sufferings, then people shut down. They don't want to hear our sufferings. But we'll listen to the Jewish people's sufferings, and we weep for them. But who weeps for us? So when I talk about our Holocaust, people don't like to hear it. We've been through a Holocaust that if we would tell our full Holocaust, a brass monkey would set up and cry. Because we haven't had the opportunity or the means to tell our true Holocaust. Now this is why I want black people to get a clearer understanding about history. Now one cannot properly evaluate past mistakes and correct them. We're going to keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Because we are people, we are quick to forget. Now, I'm not preaching, I'm teaching this morning. And when you forget something that's beneficial to your survival, you're going to be caught in that vicious cycle time and time again. If you don't remember what was, you don't know what is. All right. Hello? So history is very valuable to us today as a people. Somebody said, well, I don't think you ought to talk about history in the church. Well, where else can you talk about it? They sure won't tell you in the school. What they going to teach in the school? Abraham Lincoln, George Washington cut down the cherry tree and never could tell a lie. They tell you about their history, but they sure ain't going to tell you about yours. So where else can we hear this other than the church? On Sunday morning, there's more people mobilized in the church than any place else in the world. People come together on Sunday morning. I'm not saying everybody comes for the right thing. Some come to stand around outside and talk while the minister is ministering or while the teacher is teaching. Some, come and visit, then leave and go to some other church. Some hop to different churches on Sunday morning. Some come to go to sleep. Some come to hear. And some are very alert and listening, but after they heard the word, the enemy is standing right outside to take that which they have heard. So they become unfruitful. So you got to be a good listener, and not just a listener, but a doer. But history will repeat itself unless we understand our past mistakes and learn how to correct our mistakes. Now, people are easily subjugated as the true black Americans. We're not really Americans. We're black, but we're not Americans. Now, we could be easily subjugated when we don't understand history and where we fit in. Because we look through the Bible, we don't see our names. Do we? We look through the Bible, we don't see color, we don't see black, and we don't see Africa. We see names that have been changed. We see names of places that have been changed. We see whole continents have been renamed. See, when you understand history and you seek knowledge, you find out the name they changed it to, and let's go back to the original name that it was before you came and changed it. And then that'll give me a clear understanding of where I stand in history and where I come in Bible. Hello? Now, the history of black people in America prior to slavery was not accidentally lost. How many believe we had a history before we came here? Now they say, well, you colored folk just don't have no history. We picked you up in Africa as jungle bunnies, and you were uncivilized, and we civilized you and brought you here, and we made you slaves, and you ought to thank God we made you slaves, and we enhanced your culture. Now, you have scholars that actually write books that say that. And they still write stuff like that today. To try to keep you suppressed in your mind, to make you think that you had no history, no culture prior to coming to America. And it was not accidentally lost. It was purposely destroyed. That blacks might be taught to be slaves. And the first step in training of a slave is to destroy everything that's connecting him with his glory or splendor. He is to be made to feel that whatever he receives is better than what he had. Are you listening this morning? So, we've been made slaves. Now you know it. What you gonna do about it? Well, honey, I ain't no slave. Don't you see my BMW out there? Honey, ain't no slave. I got a fox coat. And it's special made from England, honey. Look at my house. I have a $500,000 home. I'm not a slave. Do I look like a slave? Look at my clothes. These were special tailor-made clothes. You still a slave. You're a BMW driving slave. And you don't want to come to reality and understand that you were made a slave. Even though you have wealth here in America, you are still a slave because you have the slave mentality. See, this is not very interesting to some. But some are devouring this just like, you know, a dog devours dog food. And some regret I even found out about history. They say he was a loud mouth and long-winded on this gospel here. Now you know history, you're going to be extra long. I sure is. I got a lot to say. And don't have enough time to say it all. I'm going to tell it. I'm like a refrigerator. I can't keep nothing. And I ain't going to try. I got to tell it. And I'm going to tell the truth. You know, I've always been a truthful person. And now since I found out these truths, you think I'm going to set on it? No. I'm going to tell it. I ain't got but one life to live, and I'm going to live it for my God. And I'm going to tell it while I'm living. You're a slave. You've been taught to be exactly what you are. Now, before coming of the European, blacks had cultural traditions far superior, not saying we were better, because that's what makes a racist mind when you think you're better than someone else. But I'm telling you what the facts and what the book said. We had culture superior to any race of people on this planet. African builders, we had astrologers. And by the way, they taught you to shun astrology. Don't fool with astrology, because that's witchcraft. That's far from the truth. Astrology is not witchcraft. Africans always plotted the stars. They always looked into the heavens. Before the telescope came, they know what planet was going to be where, and they know what moon was going to be where, and they saw it with the human eye. They were tuned into the universe. They didn't need no microscope. They knew what planet was going to show up where it's 65 years before it came. Astrology is part of our culture. But the white man taken it and made it evil. Why do you think Mr. Reagan consulted the stars? His wife, she consulted the stars because she knew something was in it. He knew something was in it. He wouldn't even take a bath before he got with his wife. He said, is this a good day to take a bath? He wouldn't even go out the house. He wouldn't even have no business deals with other countries before he consulted with his wife, and his wife consulted with a strong astrology woman. That she gave them information and helped them make vital decisions in the White House. There's something to it, people. And you know what? They took it out of the Bible. That was one of the lost books, astrology, that they took out of the Bible at the Council of Nicaea in 325 BC, was astrology. It was a part of the scrolls, the original scroll, astrology. And not only that, reincarnation was a part of the Bible, but they took that out too. And they said the books, those how many books were there? They said 18 lost. You know what? I found them. I got them at home. They said, well, they lost. You don't know where they are, but I know where they are. I got them at home. All those books you took out and didn't want us to read, I got them at home. Well, I think if God wanted us to have it, no. It wasn't God took it out. Man took that out because it was too much information for a black man to receive. See, they had to remake and shape the Bible so it would be, you know, something hard to understand. They didn't want to make it plain. In ancient times, our knowledge was not hard to understand. It was plain. But the white man had made it so difficult to understand the scripture that you almost have to be a scholar in it to understand what they're saying here. But as you begin to study the scripture and study history, you find out and you understand what the scheme of everything is and who's controlling it. Now, we were astrologers, and we were artists, engineers, and had already created wonders which baffled the European minds for 1,000 generations. And we still baffle their minds now. Let me tell you something about a crystal. How many are familiar with a crystal? Now, you know that the soothsayers, the palm readers, they read crystal ball. Right? Crystal is something like a gem. And a crystal holds energy. And it transmits energy. And in ancient times, the Egyptians wore crystals because it held energy. And it helped you in your mentality, in your knowledge toward God. Oh, y'all ain't listening to me this morning. Some of you, Jim, crystals, I don't. But see, when you get knowledge in your head, you like to impart it and pass it on to your brother and sister because we need this knowledge. Don't get jealous of me. Don't look at me funny because I'm studying, burning the midnight oil, trying to get some knowledge for your silly head. I'm going to get it, and I'm going to pass it on. And it's up to you to search and find more to enhance what you already have. See, if it wasn't any power in the crystal, why would the soothsayers use it? Did you not know a crystal is like a computer? It can store, and it can hold a color. You can put a red piece of material over crystal, and that crystal will hold the color of red until you change it. You can pour water over crystal and it change it completely. God is speaking to me, go get me a crystal ring.
Yeah.
I'm going to start being like the ancients. I'm going to wear crystal on my hand. Hello? It helps enhance your mentality. It's not evil. It's something the white man knows about, but he has kept you from this knowledge for thousands of years, and now this knowledge is coming out, and I'm going to share it with my brother and my sister. Hello? Now, there are some people, they have gone into the arts of witchcraft, which is taboo, and God has not ordained you to get into the dark side of the spirituality that the devil dwells in. God has forbidden man to use curses and portions against their brother and their sister, even though these things are real and they do work. But God has forbidden us because we are righteous people and we don't dwell in unrighteousness. All unrighteousness is sin. And when you do anything to deprive other people from their right to humanity or living or thinking on their own or using their own judgment, that's wrong and that's sin. But to know these things, there's nothing wrong with it. A lot of people don't understand that we have so much culture, so much knowledge, that all the libraries in the United States couldn't contain all of our knowledge and culture of ourselves. In West and North Africa, the institutions were turning out geniuses. The educational system today are not turning out geniuses. They're turning out drug heads, individualistic minded people. The system was not designed here in America to make geniuses. The system was designed to keep you at a status quo, to teach you half-truths, to teach you history and knowledge of other people instead of yourself. And here you go to an all-white college to learn about black studies. Who better can teach you about yourself than you? Who know you better than you? Why go to some white college to let them teach you about yourself? Sure, they studied you. They know some things about you, but you should know the things about your own self. But we were turning out geniuses in the African institutions. And the world was dismayed. They couldn't understand that the Africans were turning out such geniuses. The children began their educational process at the age 3. And by the time they had completed what we term elementary school today, they had an intelligence level beyond the highest degree attainable by any institution of learning today. You know what I'm saying? Children that come out of elementary school, they had an intelligence level higher than the highest degree that's given here in the United States. Why don't we have that today? We have children going around that don't even ask questions.
That's right. That's
Wait.
right. Now look here, that's it. They don't ask no questions.
Huh? They're not seeking knowledge either. Hosea said people without knowledge or history of themselves is dead. My people are destroyed because of lack of knowledge. I thank God for some of the black rappers. They have, and they all getting positive messages now to the youth. Because you need something wholesome for your mind. You put all this junk in your mind, you ain't gonna be nothing. You are what you eat. So we need to get back to knowledge. See, average church don't give you no knowledge. See, not only you come here and get fed with spiritual food, you come get fed with mental food for your mind, that you can grow. You don't just come here for thrill or for feeling. You get schooled here. So you can go out, you can talk to folks and say, hey, I learned this in church. You mean church? What church you go to? You mean they teach that in church? Yes, they do. And every church in the United States needs to get involved. Every black church needs to get involved with history and knowledge of themselves. Because you got to understand, we are the original people. We people the whole earth. We populate the whole earth from us. And the whole earth is dependent on us to get us out of this condition. Now, it was not uncommon to find professors in their early teens. Teenagers that were professors. Huh? You don't find too many professors today. And every time a black youth began to show a little scholar, they throw him a white one. They throw him a basketball. Here, boy. Bounce this ball. Throw it in the hoop. You don't need to be a scientist. You don't need to know about chemists. They don't want you to be a professional in astrology or science or engineering. They don't want you to be professionals in that. They want you to be a professional ball player. Hell that ball, nigga. Throw that ball in there, nigga. And they discourage black youth from being what they want to be. One teacher told Malcolm X, you need to be a carpenter. He wanted to be an attorney, a lawyer. They said, hey, you need to be a carpenter somewhere. Shine some shoes, boy. And they're going to discourage your black child if he show any type of potential. They're going to fail him, say he ain't catching on. The system is designed that way. Because see, they checking out your children, seeing which one excels, because they're looking for another Jesus just like we are. But they ain't looking for it for the same reason that we are. They're looking to kill this Jesus. I'm not talking about Jesus. I'm talking about the Spirit of Jesus that's coming through our people that can raise us up and clean us out. So anytime your child show any potential and want to learn and ask questions, they say, hey, shoot him out. Kill him. We don't need no more Malcolms. We don't need no more Marcus Garveys. We don't need no more of these Dr. Kings. No. So anytime your child shows any degree of potential and want to be something other than a basketball player or a baseball player or some dope pusher or pimp out on the streets, then they get a hold to his mind and sidetrack him to something other than what he want to be. But in ancient times, it was not uncommon to see teenagers, 17, 18, 19, that were professors and that could out-talk, out-think any scholar in the Greek or European society. They didn't like that. And there were kings ruling dynasties as young as 8 years old. Tutankhamun was 8 or 9, and he was ruling Egypt. Sitting on a throne, big pharaoh, gold, and servants, and a young lad, 8 years old, ruling a whole nation. Are you listening? Because our people back in those times knew that knowledge was power. Not education, not money, but knowledge or information is power. These young lads, they ruled the kingdom, and today, this seems unimaginable that we could have done this. But we did. And if so, it is only because the adversary created for you a history of cannibalism and ignorance. And because black Americans are so far from God and knowing themselves that this, what I just spoke unto you, is unseemable or unfounded. That we were kings In ancient times, at 8 years old, and professors at 17 and 18, we can't fathom it. Because we don't know too much today. We just know what we've been taught. We stay in our place. We would transform people from Africans to slaves. We are the original Hebrew people, sons of God, and we have become a non-people. Because when they named us Negro, you know what Negro means? Dead people. That's the meaning of Negro, a dead people. And if you're a dead people, then you don't even exist on the human scale. And when they brought you from Africa, you wasn't brought over here to be leaders and doctors and governors. You were brought over here to be slaves, chattel slaves to other men. And you didn't register when you come here and said, I'm an immigrant from Africa, and I'd like to register here in the United States to be a United States citizen. You didn't register. They just brought you in the hulls of ships. Huh? They brand you after you got here, put their mark on you. That's where it gets to the mark of the beast. A lot of people don't understand the mark of the beast. See, unless you have his mark, you can't move successfully in his little playroom. Because it's nothing but a game. All this that you see is a game. And if you don't have his mark, then you can't play his game. And you know who the beast is. I ain't talking about a beast out there with 4 legs. See, this beast got 2 legs. Read over there in Revelation about the mark of the beast. Unless you have the mark or number of his name in your hand or forehead, you won't be able to buy or sell. And if you don't do like the white man tell you, he'll keep you out of job market. Mark of the beast is already here. Are you still here? You can't get no credit unless you got credit.
Ooh, that's so true.
Did you what I said? How stupid that is. You can't get credit unless you got some right credit. And if you never had no credit, then you can't get no credit. Isn't that something? And they don't want to deal with you. They don't want to give you no type of credit. They want you to have some credit already established when you're born.
Want you to have experience on the job before you
Hello.
want to have
This is a sick world. The people that made it sick. Hello. But we have become a non-people. Negroes. And we are like monkey see, monkey do.
Yeah.
Whatever we saw our slave master do, we copy. It's not so hard for us to do this because, you know, you can take a bird and teach him to talk. What about a human being? I thinking about Sesame Street. It's this bird they taught to talk. It was something like a cartoon, and they had a talking bird in the house, talking parakeet, and people had called for the plumber to come to fix the sink. And the plumber knocked on the door, and the bird said, "Come in." And nobody opened the door. The plumber knocked again. "Come in." In other words, the bird said, "Who is it?" And he said, "It's the plumber. I come to fix the sink." And then he knocked again, and the bird said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's the plumber. I come to fix the sink." And nobody opened the door. He knocked again. The bird said, "Who is it?" He said, "It's the plumber. I come to fix the sink." And he never opened the door, so the plumber left. And then The owners came home, and they came in. And one of them knocked at the door, said, "Who is it?" And said, the parakeet in turn said, "The plumber. He come to fix the sink." He said, "Who is it?" But when the owner come home, he said, "It's the plumber. I come to fix the sink." Told the owners who came. But this bird could talk. Said, "Who is it?" Sounds just like a human being. And if you can teach a bird to talk, what about a human being? Teach him to be a slave. You don't see no chains on us. But we're still slaves. The slaves are invisible. Our chains are invisible on our mind. You know your place. And you stay in your place because you've already been programmed to stay in your place. Hello? Just like a dog, you train that dog, say, "Hey, don't sit on my couch."
All right.
You sit on the couch, you hit him with a bunch of newspapers. Hit him, "Don't sit on my couch." And pretty soon, he gonna know his place. And this was done to us in slavery. We know our place back in slavery, and now it's just come on down to the genes. We still know our place. And some of us act like we don't know our place, but we know our place. Slave master made us.
Come on.
But I like to say in Jeremiah, the 2nd chapter is the people that have lost their God and have turned away from their God. And they're in a nation that they're held in captivity, and they're killed every day, and they're deprived from their right, their human rights, and no one seems like they're concerned. But we have a brother that's coming here tomorrow night. They've got some solutions. And I get angry when I hear somebody talk about him and say, "I don't listen to that nigga." Well, what kind of solutions have you got? You gonna talk about the brother that at least he got some type of solutions to work our problems out, but you ain't got nothing. You gonna talk about him that's trying to do something? You a hypocrite. At least let the brother try. At least hear him out. See or hear what he got to say and make an intelligent decision for yourself what he said. Instead of listening through the ears of someone else. What they say, he said. Hear him for yourself.
That's so true.
See, this is what's been wrong with black people for so long. We've been listening what the media say and what other people say about other people instead of listening for ourselves. They've always put a veil between us and the leaders that God chooses for us. But those that they set up, you better beware. Mr. Deacon, Mr. Wilder, these are good old boys. Yes, they gonna do a good job. They pat them on the back. Yes, sir. These are our boys. Why didn't they set Malcolm X up? Why didn't they give him a high position? Because he wasn't one of their niggas. Yeah, they set him up all right for a bullet. And those black men they framed and got in prison today, they're innocent. Government did it, but they did it through the hands of black people. Killed Malcolm X. Because he was not none of their nigga, and he would not boot, lick, or bow, or allow strings to be hung on him to be used as a puppet. So they had to get rid of him. But those that got strings, and sometimes they cut the strings because he's already attached in his mind. And they said, "This is our boy." And they'll put him up, give him much money as he needs. But let them begin to show blackness. Let them begin to make laws to help their own people. Then they give them a shout. Are you listening? Why you think they trying to knock Marion Berry down? Why you think they trying to destroy this brother? Why do you think the government of the United States spend $40 million to entrap this man with drugs? 40 million now. I don't think they spend that much to get General Noriega. But they spend that much money to entrap this governor of Washington, D.C., this mayor. Now listen to this. William Burnett, which is part of the national security outfit, on the Kerner, he sits on the Kerner Commission Board. He's got a plan to combat and control drugs in America by the military. And he goes all over the country looking at the areas where the drugs are at its highest peak. And he said, now, we need military force, and we need to go in here with arms, and we need to take back the community with military force. This is what this white boy said. And this is exactly what they want to do in Washington, D.C. a year ago. Before the incident of the drug setup of Mary Berry. They went to Mary Berry and said, hey, we want to come in with the National Guard, and we want to set up camp in Washington, D.C., and we want to fence in all these black communities that's overrun with drugs. And we want to go in with weapons and run them out. And Mary Berry said, no, you won't. The mayor of Washington, D.C., he said, no, you won't. Well, this is the only way we control it. He said, there's other ways. And he said, no, you ain't coming in with no National Guard on. I don't care if you get it signed by the President of the United States. You ain't coming in here with no National Guard. And from that day forward, it's been a plan to set him up. Now, I don't condone the brother for his problem with alcohol, but who's to say that he's a drug addict? You go on by only what the media has told you. And 85% of what they tell you is untrue. I think the best way to get a clear understanding is go to the person themselves or go to someone that's close to them and hear it from them. Instead of hearing it from a white racist mentality man that's out to destroy this brother. And practically everyone they've interviewed, they have crucified the brother and condemned the brother and prejudged the brother before he even went to court. That's wrong. But we know why they're trying to get rid of him. And they are out to destroy all of our black leaders. And if you don't stand up and do something, you're going to be cut down right along with the rest of them. But I'm standing up. I made my stand. And I'm going to tell it like it is. I ain't got but one life to live, and I'm going to live for God. And if you don't have enough backbone, I'll lend you some of mine. You got a backbone like a jellyfish? I'm a doctor. I can operate on you. I can give you some backbone. That you can stand up and be a man instead of being a puppet in the hand of someone else that's evil out to destroy your people and you too. Hang around here. Stay with me. I said many times, you stay with me, I can help you. Now, I didn't finish what I wanted to say this morning because time will not permit for me to finish. There's so many things that I can hit on that I just don't have the time. But hopefully today I will bring a few more things out that I want to say this morning that I didn't get a chance to say. And hope you can bear with what I got to say, because what I got to say, it might not be pleasant. It might not be what you want to hear. But you need to hear it. We have a problem. And it's time out for being an individual. And once you're an individual, you're not concerned with the problem. You know why? Because you just for yourself, me, myself, and I. That's detrimental to the nation. You self-centered and have an individualistic spirit, you don't care if your brother gets shot down. You ain't concerned. You don't care if your sister gets put outdoors. You don't care if Mary Berry get booted out. You ain't concerned because you got an individualistic spirit and mind. But when you lose that spirit, say, hey, I'm a part of the family now, I'm getting in the struggle, and I'm going to voice my opinion too because I want to be heard too. Then we can make some progress. How many enjoyed the Sunday school?